Continuing from where we left off, we discovered that the Emerald City could be of great importance, and if it is located on Elbaf, then what's the importance of reaching Elbaf? Naturally, the simplest answer is, well, Usopp wants to go there, and while this is true, there may just be one other great importance. We'll get the other simplest reason out of the way, which is the road poneglyph, as if we are right from the last theory, then the fourth should be located there. The main reason we believe that the Straw Hats will enter Elbaf is because Elbaf is the gatekeeper of God Valley. Hi everyone, Flying Panda, the One Piece theorist.
Usopp the Norse god, enter the next giant king.
Hi everyone, Flying Panda. It is our belief that in order to enter God Valley, you must first be granted access by the current Giant King, as it seems only fitting that the king would likely be the guardian of such a, well, godly place. We all know that One Piece is heavily inspired by history and mythology. Oda uses all this in such a way that is both noticeable and unnoticeable. Basically, it's done so well that we as readers don't take too much notice with it and just enjoy the story for what it is. And as the story is reaching its timely end, we believe Oda is going to be pulling out all the stops. And as we know Elbaf is heavily inspired by Norse mythology, then God Valley can only be none other than Valhalla. Over to you, Ragnar.
For those that know not of Valhalla, in Norse mythology, Valhalla is a majestic, enormous hall located in Asgard, ruled over by the god Odin, chosen by Odin. Half of those who die in combat travel to Valhalla upon death, led by Valkyries, they say, while the other half go to the goddess Freya's field. Now, before you jump on, but God Valley is an island and Valhalla is a hall. We are aware, of course, but take into consideration what we've seen so far of God Valley. The island that we've been shown doesn't seem like your typical island, meaning there isn't much in way of land. In fact, from looking at the picture a few times, it seems that the island is mostly a rocky mountain that reaches quite high. But what if this isn't just a rocky mountain? What if it's a palace disguised as a mountain? An interesting point to note about this place too is that if you look closely at the center of it, it seems like it's divided down the middle, so two halves. This could mean that one half is Valhalla and the second half is the field that belongs to Freya. This would be the same concept as heaven and hell. Most likely you'd have to travel down the valley between both sides and resist the temptations they offer to pass unscathed. Who knows? All we know is God Valley was an important part of Odin's flashback, showcasing Roger and Whitebeard's battle, and some key information about some of the characters, and will most likely be very relevant to the Straw Hats' progress to Raftel.
Anyway, getting back to Elbaf and its importance to Usopp. Usopp has this idea that by going to Elbaf and meeting more giants, he'll somehow learn to be a brave warrior of the sea, which is his dream. Now it's been debated for some time just how brave Usopp is. He's portrayed as a coward, and for the most part he is. He's had more than one moment of bravery. In fact, he's put his life on the line in almost every battle he faced, whether it's for his own sake or for the sake of the crew, and more importantly, Luffy's dream. Usopp isn't anywhere close to being one of the strongest within the crew. Indeed, compared to the rest, he's as normal as a human as you can get. Of course, Nami is the same, and this is what makes those two such a good pairing when it comes to battle. They both happen to fight and combat progressively stronger opponents with each new arc, and when you think about this, it really shows the growth of them being the more natural humans with limits when compared to the rest of the monster crew. But they do have their own skills and strength, and I think one of the most overlooked skills of Usopp is his weapon making skills. Usopp is labeled as a ship's sniper, but before Frankie joined, Usopp was basically the Going Merry shipwright, which led to Usopp having a special bond with Merry. His level of weapon making isn't something that should be overlooked, as he somehow managed to harness the power of the weather when he created the climate attack. This also showcases Nami's skill with weather. as only she could really use the weapon and make it work. Granted that Nami asked Usopp to make it and likely have him to the key points to make it work as a weapon, but still, the weapon it must have taken for Usopp to even pull that off couldn't have been easy, and is a credit to this skill of his. Again, Usopp is labeled as a ship's sniper and his primary weapon is a slingshot, but over time we've seen Usopp use a number of weapons from dials to rubber bands, but the secondary weapon of Usopp is the mighty Usopp hammer. Each time this has made an appearance, it's grown bigger in size, which is quite important for what's coming next. Now we all know that Usopp's hammer is nothing more than a bluff, either it's a balloon or just two frying pans, but at this point, it's almost a trademark move by Usopp leads us to something that relates to Elbaf. Being that Elbaf is based on Norse mythology, probably one of the most known things about this mythology is Thor's hammer, Mjolnir.
Thor is a well-known Norse god in Norse mythology, and he's associated with thunder. His hammer is depicted in Norse mythology as one of the most fearsome and powerful weapons in existence, capable of leveling mountains. The prose edda relates how the hammer's characteristically short handle was due to a mistake during its manufacture. That's right, the hammer is on Elbaf, and is likely more important than just being a legendary weapon. In fact, we suspect that it's something to do with what Harsruden said back on Dressrosa. This has probably been well overlooked by so many, as it's not of great importance, but Harsruden proclaims that he will become King of the Giants, bit of a spin-off on Luffy's catchphrase King of the Pirates, and as Harsruden is currently a pirate, I found it both odd and interesting that he says Giant King and not Pirate King, as we've seen a few other characters claim they'll be the Pirate King, but this is the first we heard of a Giant King. The current Prince of Elbaf is of course Loki. And if you know your Norse mythology or watched or read the Marvel comics and movies, which I guess most know because of this, then you will know Loki is the adopted brother of Thor, and is for better or worse, Thor's greatest enemy, or one of. In the mythology, Loki was never meant or could become the ruler of Asgard, and as such, he played his part as a trickster, and tried to bring about the end of the world with Ragnarok. In Norse mythology, Ragnarok is a series of events, including a great battle, foretold to lead to the death of a number of great figures, natural disasters, and the submersion of the world in water.
Almost sounds like the end of One Piece, right? Great battle, world submerged in water. One Piece world is mostly water. Natural disasters, most likely Logia types clashing. You see where this is going. Since it was revealed that the Giant King is Loki, it made me wonder, why Loki? Besides the fact that Loki is one of the more known gods besides Thor and Odin, and while I get why Odin would use Odin, as it would confuse a lot of people with Odin, which by the way is a Japanese spelling for Odin and is the same god. But why isn't Thor the king? Does Thor even exist in the One Piece world? The name has been mentioned before, but that was with Luffy's giant battle axe being struck with lightning, or Enel naming one of his attack after Thor. This leads us to believe that Thor isn't of the current storyline, but was notably a figure within the One Piece world. Which leads us back to Mjolnir. Thor claims that Mjolnir could not be lifted by just anyone, that only the worthy can wield Mjolnir. Let's assume for a moment that Thor was the first giant king, and his personality was of a proud warrior, which all Elbaf giants have shown thus far. We just let anyone become the next king. No, only the worthy shall become the king of the giants, and tests to prove one's fate's worthy is to wield Mjolnir. In Big Mom's flashback, it's revealed that Prince Loki was born around that time, so there is currently a royal family. I must correct myself, I said Loki is the current king, but he's the current prince. When I say king, I don't mean that Elbaf doesn't currently have a king, but Loki is considered to be the closest to what they see as a king. This is likely due to Thor's decision that the next king must be worthy of Mjolnir, and as such, no one since Thor has been worthy. This can be backed by Harsruden become the giant king, as not about bloodlines but who is worthy, and Harsruden likely believed that by gaining strength he'll be worthy. But being worthy isn't all about strength. Brute force will not prove anything with Mjolnir. It's the person's character, their heart, that proves one's worthiness. Which leads to Usopp claiming the hammer. And before you get yourself all bent out of shape over the idea like Usopp is too weak to wield Mjolnir, again, it's not about strength, it's about purity and one's heart, and Usopp has proven time and time again he has a good heart. So much that he has even fought for the sake of the ship. He's put everything on the line and even faced off against Luffy over it, knowing the odds were heavily against him, and even with how much he respects Luffy, Usopp wouldn't abandon Merry. So given all this and the possible foreshadowing with Usopp hammer, it seems very likely that Usopp will claim Mjolnir and become the Giant King. He's currently known as God Usopp, and even you consider king being a step down below a god, consider that Odin was the king of the gods like Zeus, so it's more like Usopp becomes king of the gods, Usopp. Bear in mind, Mjolnir is basically a magical hammer, and while in Elbaf, it very could be the size of it for a giant. It may also have the power to shrink down to size to be wielded by a human if it sees said human as being worthy. Plus, just imagine Usopp shooting Mjolnir from his slingshot like he's done with regular hammers before, like Thor throwing it and it returning. To further add to this, consider Usopp and Nami are a team, and what better way to show this team off than with Usopp wielding Mjolnir, with Nami striking the mighty hammer with lightning from the weapon Usopp made himself. One last thing to consider is Nami has Zeus, which is the thunder god of the Greek myth, so Usopp having Mjolnir, the weapon of the thunder god of Norse mythology, just makes sense. And gives these two normal humans the power they need to fight on equal footing with the rest of the crew. Part 3 will finish off the last of the importance of Elbaf and who will be the main villain. Stay tuned. Till next time.
Hi guys, Legendary Anime here. Thanks for watching the video, hope you all enjoyed it. Just letting you know, we are aware of Usopp's power of the lie, if that's what you want to call it. Obviously, I've covered this in an old video on my old channel. I've done a thing about it relating Usopp to Pinocchio, which many people obviously picked up on, noticed, because obviously the long nose, the lies, I mean, you get the idea, obviously, you know. And yeah, the only reason we haven't included it in this video is purely because even though this is technically a thing, it's not actually a thing, if you get what I'm saying. It's not a power, it's not a skill, it's not something that Usopp is inherently entreated, or, you know, he's probably even aware of himself, you know what I mean? I don't think anyone in the series itself is actually aware of this power. Or I keep calling it a power, but it's not technically a power, but again, as to us as readers, it is. And yeah, I mean, if this was actually a real thing, obviously I think I would have just brought it purely just more as coincidence. But if this was actually a real power, then he would be ridiculously overpowered. And who knows, maybe Oda will make it actually into a real thing, maybe make it noticeable in the series, who knows. But as of now, it's not actually a thing in the story itself, it's not on a weird power. So as such, we didn't feel it was right to include it into this theory, as this theory was more to showcase what Usopp actually can do and what he knows his skills are and what powers he has. So with that in mind, we decided to leave it out, but we just wanted to make you all aware that we are aware of this trait. Anyway, thanks for watching, I'll catch you all later.
Anyway, thanks for watching the video. Thanks Ragnar. Please do comment down below, please click like, and if you haven't, please subscribe to Flying Panda, and of course join our Discord. The road to 100k subs is underway. Flying Panda. One thing, I don't know why, it doesn't even matter how hard you try. Keep that in mind, I designed this rhyme, explaining due time. All I know, time is a valuable thing. Watch it fly by as the pendulum swings. Watch it count down to the end of the day. The clock ticks life away, it's so unreal. Till you look out below, what time flies throughout the window. trying to hold on, but didn't even know I wasted it all just to watch you go. I kept everything inside, even though I tried. It all fell apart. What it meant to be will eventually be a memory of a time when I tried so hard.